like I said, it was half vacant. The people that were living there did not have leases. So we didn't get any leases. We did not get a rent roll. We got probably what we got. I think we probably got some sort of projected budget from the wholesaler that we bought it from.
Welcome everyone to the Multifamily Deal Structuring Monday, where we will discuss about the apartment deal that our guests have closed in the past. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that whenever a new episode is released, that you get notified. Our guest for today is Tate Siemer. So Tate Siemer is the visionary behind Greenlight Equity Group. Tate's passion is improving, adding value, high-density multifamily developments and existing apartment buildings in such a way that maximizes the value of communities in order to provide solid, consistent returns to investors and well-being to residents. Tate's real estate roots extend back 15 years to when he bought his first multifamily property, a 10-year-old duplex in South Salt Lake City. He has since been a principal in over 40 transactions and an agent in over 45 investor transactions. He has a vision for a sleek, clean, and modern remodel design elements, which nicely allows for powerful rebranding and repositioning. He hosts the Apartment Guys podcast and serves on the executive board of the Utah Real Estate Investor Association. He enjoys helping fellow investors and entrepreneurs through mentoring and coaching. Tate's other passions include big mountain skiing and mountain biking, music, and hiking with his dog, Joey. Here's the episode. Hi, Tate. Welcome to the Multifamily Deal Structuring Monday, where we will be discussing either your first deal or one of your early deals as a syndicator. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. It's awesome to be with you today, Jefferson. I'm really glad to sit down and share some time with you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, let's start with telling us about yourself.
Sure, you bet. So yeah, I'm from originally Cincinnati, Ohio, Midwest guy, and went to college in Ohio as well at Ohio University. And I studied psychology and also I studied fine art photography, as a matter of fact. And later in my mid-20s, I moved to Utah to ski and became a ski photographer, amongst other things. And I also became a wedding and portrait photographer and made my living doing formal portrait photography, weddings, and also some skiing. I did that up until about 2006 or so. And in 2006, I took a very basic course on investing in real estate, which I had never considered doing before. A friend of mine was in this class and he thought I should come along. And so I did. And I learned basically the very basics on how to flip single family houses and duplexes. And I bought a duplex and I remodeled one of the units and sold the whole property, remodeled on one side and made $10,000 and thought I was on top of the world, like I'd made it in real estate at that point, right? So I went ahead and I got my real estate license. I liked what we were doing well enough, and worked with some investors, represented them on transactions, selling, buying, finding them deals, and also did deals myself. And then the 2008 market crashed, as everybody knows. And I, at that point, was not really like I wasn't successful enough at that going into that crash to survive it, I guess, if you want to make it, just to be real. And I also, therefore, wasn't really excited about staying in real estate. So I went back to photography, did a few other business adventures as well as ventures. and decided in 2012 to partner up with my longtime boss and friend, Carl York is his name. And he was my photography boss in 1999 when I moved to Utah. And in 2012, we started working together and flipping single family houses here in Salt Lake City. And we did okay with that. We enjoyed it. And the mistakes that we made looking back on that were that we used all of our own money and all of our own time, and we general contracted everything ourselves. And it's not a good way to make good money in the single family world. And so once again, when you don't have a good model and you're not dialed in, you're not going to get excited about what you're doing. You're not going to get passionate. You're not going to have what it takes to get through the tough times and persevere. And you need to be convicted at least about what you're doing. And so we about 3 years ago got into I got into some Utah. It's called the Utah Real Estate Investor Association. And I got involved pretty extensively in that and started to really expand my horizons, particularly around mindset, around what's possible in real estate. I was pretty isolated, and I wasn't really exposed to what other people were doing and going big and how they were doing it and how they were scaling up, and that they were getting into multifamily and some of them were getting into apartments and that sort of thing. And we'll get into that in a minute, but it really shifted things for me to see all these other people in the business doing it at different levels and looking at things and going, I feel like I could do that too. So one night, a developer gave a presentation on how he went from essentially flipping single family houses to becoming a developer. And he had built a triplex that it was 3 separate townhomes that he sold 3 separate parcels, and had done well with it and was teaching about it, how to do it. And I thought what he did was amazing. So long story short, we went to coffee with him and we ended up buying a couple of lots from him and building some triplexes on them, some high-end luxury townhomes right in downtown Salt Lake City, great locations. And again, very, very long story short, those projects did not go very well. They took 2 times at least as long as they should have to build, and they cost way too much to build at the end of the day. And again, to be real with your audience, because they deserve that, and they need to know that failures happen. But those 2 projects ended up being the only deals that we've ever lost money on. And it made us very tuned into the whole idea of construction risk, which is what you take on whenever you break ground on something new. So in the meantime, we discovered the world of investing in existing small multifamily assets. And we had a 12-unit deal fall in our laps through the same source for the deal that we had gotten these other ones from. And he was wholesaling this project to us. He brought it to us. And it was like I said, a 12-unit property in South Salt Lake, which is actually a city. It's called South Salt Lake. And it's a very up and coming city. And we were in a particular part of the city that there were very junky, trashed out properties on the street. And there were also nicely converted single families and apartments on the street. So, so we ended up buying this deal from him, and it needed everything. So before I get into that, Jefferson, do you have any questions? I've been rambling here for a while, so I just want to make sure that I
Yeah,
check in with you.
Yeah, I think yeah. Go ahead. Then we can discuss maybe just few minutes, then we'll start with your first deal.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
Sure. So you want me to go ahead
But
and
like where are you currently located?
You betcha. Yeah. So I'm in Salt Lake City, about 12 minutes from downtown and about 30 minutes from Snowbird Ski Resort, which is where I ski probably 50 days a year. And because I'm only 30 minutes from the ski resort, I'm able to ski a lot of days in the morning and be back in my office working by noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and get a nice day of work in addition to really like world-class skiing. So coming from Cincinnati, which is very, pretty flat area and comparatively anyway, that doesn't have much in the way of outdoors. I'm a really outdoorsy person and I'm in an absolute heaven in Salt Lake City. It's perfect for me.
Okay. Yeah. Then when you're starting, like any limiting belief that you have, and how were you able to overcome it and get to your first deal? Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that if somebody had looked at me and said, you can do apartment building investing, and maybe 4 years ago, if somebody had said that to me, I would have looked at them a little bit weird and said, okay, like, tell me more. Like, I can't visualize how I could invest in apartments. That seems like something for people with institutional money and that, big checkbooks, right? And so if somebody had said that to me, I wouldn't have believed them. And what it took, that's a limiting belief right there, right? Like to not know what's possible is in itself a limiting belief. And so what it took to bust through that limiting belief was actually having a deal come along that we had, luckily enough, somebody that was smart enough to tell us how he would do the deal and how it would be best put together. And so we were pretty well advised in this situation. And it basically gave us the confidence that we could do it. And it wasn't conceptual. It was this actual building sitting there on, on a lot in 5 minutes from my house, literally. And so it just made all kinds of sense to do the deal. It made sense underwriting, numeric, on the metrics, and it made sense in every other way for us. And it really has launched us into apartment buildings in a much bigger way. And we won't talk too much about this, but I'll just cut to the chase. We're under contract right now on 249 doors in the Columbus, Ohio market. And so, and we own a 20-unit building here in Clearfield, Utah. So we've continued to move into the apartment space, and I've put together a really formidable team, I feel, that is going to be able to do thousands and thousands of doors. So I went literally from 4 years ago, not imagining how I could possibly do apartments, to having the mindset that I can do apartments at the highest level. If anybody can do it, I can do it. I can, Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. Yeah. And, it's all about modeling people who are doing what you want to do. So I've learned that, and I have a lot of confidence now because of the people that I've mirrored and learned from, and who care about me and are invested in me. And I'm very humbled by that, and I feel very blessed. Oh, okay. You're on mute.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Then yeah, let's start discussing about the deal. So what's the source of this deal?
Sure. Yeah. So it came through uh, that developer that brought us our original townhome deals. So it was somebody that I met through networking through a real estate investor association. And he found the deal, he found the seller, put the deal under contract, and assigned the contract to me for an assignment fee. And there were actually two of them involved. So there were two different assignment fees paid. And the total assignment fee paid was $180,000.
Wow, nice.
So there is a lot of money in finding deals, tying up deals, good deals,
Yes.
and bringing other investors in. Like that's a real thing, guys. Like, so that, that's a good way of busting into the apartment world, is going out organically, finding these deals, figuring out what you need to do to tie them up and making it happen.
Yeah, that's a chunky assignment fee. Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, then this where is this located, this deal?
So it's in the city of South Salt Lake, and it's just east of State Street, and in Utah, State Street splits the city right in half, and everything east of State Street is slightly more valuable, and then eventually much more valuable than everything west of State Street. So we were just barely east, giving us kind of a different value opportunity than had we been literally a block away or 2 blocks away.
Yep. Then how many units was this?
So it's 12 total.
12 units.
Yep.
Then this class of property is class B or C?
It was C minus.
C-.
I mean, so when we got it, it was hammered. First of all, it was half vacant. 6 of the units were vacant. It had a leaky roof. It was a flat gravel roof that had multiple leaks in it and had produced sheetrock damage. We didn't have much in the way of mold to deal with, but we had a lot of sheetrock work and everything. It needed everything, Jefferson. Like it had the leases were month to month. They weren't, most of them weren't even really paying rent. We had to get everybody out. Like we vacated the entire building and brought in a general contractor to remodel the entire building.
Okay. Yeah. Then so I guess like the story of this property is like, yeah, it's a distress. Then do you know what's the story of the seller? Like
yeah, I don't, you know what? I don't know much about the seller in this case because we did buy it from a wholesaler.
Okay.
And I don't know what their situation was.
Okay. That's okay. Then so for this property, I guess, yeah, I don't know if you get T12 or rent roll for this one, or
I'm laughing because there was nothing. I mean, like I said, it was half vacant. The people that were living there did not have leases. So we didn't get any leases. We did not get a rent roll. We got probably what we got, and I can't even remember, but I think we probably got some sort of projected budget from the wholesaler that we bought it from.
Okay.
But we had nothing to go on numbers wise. So
okay. Then what was the asking price on this?
Well, when it was brought to us, it was offered to us for 1.1 million was what we bought it for.
Okay. Then okay. Then I guess like you already answered, that is the vacancy is almost, 50% physically vacant.
Oh man, yeah, it was like I mean, some of those units weren't even like you couldn't even live in them. Like
inhabitable.
They were terrible. Yeah. So
then how is the finance? Sorry.
I was just gonna say we knew it was a good deal because it was on a street that had plenty of fixed up places around it that had already set the precedent for what we could do there. So we were confident that our business plan was to come in and do everything right. New roof, new windows, new flooring, new HVAC, like brand new central air, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. We're talking about apartments that had been renting for $500, $550, $600. And we felt like we had enough good properties around that one that if we invested right and made the building really nice, that we would be able to get the top rents in the area. And sure enough, we'll talk more about that, but sure enough, we were able to do that.
Okay, sounds good. Then, yeah, how is the financing breakdown on this one? How did you get a loan? Is it a loan?
Yeah. So we got a construction loan, and we did it through a hard money lender, actually. So we knew it was going to be a short-term deal. We needed to close on it fast when we bought it, so it made sense to enable us to buy it. It made sense to do it, to pay more in interest for it, right?
Yeah.
And we actually, through this broker that set this up for us, he also had a friend who had $150,000 sitting around that wanted to invest. And so we used that $150,000 as the down payment on the construction loan that, or, construction loan in quotes, right? As a hard money bridge loan is another way of putting it. We financed it with that, and that covered the construction costs and the purchase. So we funded everything initially with no money out of pocket.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because you used the friend's 150. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
How much was the CapEx budget on this one?
The CapEx, we ended up spending about $330,000 on the entire building, which ends up being $27,500 a unit, which is huge. That's a huge amount, but it includes everything. It includes it included painting the exterior, painting the brick. It included, like I said, all new central air furnaces, central air compressors, high efficiency. We did everything right. We did good windows. We did good luxury vinyl tile floors. We did new fixtures and doors and handles, and like everything you touched and saw was new trim everywhere. So we did not leave anything untouched. And we knew that, or we felt that if we did that we would be able to get the rents that we needed to get to sell it for what we wanted to sell it for.
Yep. And I think that, this is also good, like, because you already have the sign from the area that houses are getting renovated in that area. Then it's
right.
really a good idea that you pick the top-notch finishes, or at least granite countertop. Then,
and you can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that everywhere. You gotta be very careful about that. If you're in a class C area that's not making a transition, then, for instance, we're doing one of these in Columbus right now that we don't expect any time to turn over and improve, and we don't have enough comps around us to support investing that much per unit. But in this case, we did.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought also, like to the listeners, is if you it's important also, like to know the area. Like that's why people are saying, like whenever going to the market, drive by the area so you will know. Or if you don't have time to drive by, you can search also in Zillow, or even like looking at how are the houses getting sold there. Are they renovated? Or because if everything is getting renovated in that area, then you've got some good apartment for the right price, then
Yes,
you're luck. I mean, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's got to be an area that's transitioning, right? And
Yes.
that you got, because you got to be able to have comps, or whether you're flipping a single family house or 150 unit apartment building, you have to have the comps around you to support your business plan.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, so this hard money lender, how much is the interest, and also if there are any points?
Um, we paid, I want to say we paid about 10% interest rate on this, and the points we paid a total of 2 points origination
Yes.
on it. And then on the 150 grand, that was kind of a straight hard money loan where we paid him a straight 12% interest rate. We paid that as the deal went. So he got paid every month, and he was happy in the end.
Yep. Yeah, you cannot get anywhere like to give you a 12%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Then so how long did it take or I mean for the whole hard money lender, what's your terms? Is it like a 1 year?
Yeah, it was almost exactly 1 year from beginning to end.
Okay.
And honestly, like we thought it would take half of that. And you know, in real estate, people say that it takes twice as much time and costs twice as much money. And unfortunately, sometimes that's true. I wouldn't say it's always true, but it's you know, it's something that happened in this case. It took twice as much time as it should have, which was fine because ultimately it wasn't that long of a project. So
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Then what was your business plan on this one when you bought this? Yeah, is it like for a flip or you're planning to hold it?
yeah, it was all, we always planned on flipping it. So yeah, the plan from the very beginning was to remodel it and flip it.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
nice. Then yeah, this property, is it already sold or this one?
Yeah, it did sell. We sold it in
Yeah, how much is it?
we sold it in, I want to say, at the very end of 2019 in November, and we sold it for 1.88 million. So 1,880,000.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, with money costs and you know, the cost of and one other important thing, you know, I mentioned I brought up that you know, you often spend twice as much as you were thinking you would, and we didn't begin to spend twice as much, but we did spend more than we thought we would, and therefore ended up having to cover some of that out of our own funds. So at the end of the day, we were not 100% out of pocket, but you know, that's okay. It worked. So
yeah, because I think you were able to get like around 1 point. I think the purchase price is around 1.1, then capex of 330. So around 1.4 or something.
yeah, so at the end of the day, our profit margin was about $325,000 was our profit margin. So, you know, for
1 year.
not a bad deal for 1 year for very little out of pocket. So yeah, I mean, it's for us at that point in our trajectory, it did so much for us. In addition to the profit, it really changed for us what we thought was possible and what we know is possible, and it made us very hungry to get other deals.
Yeah. This property, did you take it single-handedly or you partner with someone on this?
We did this on our own, actually.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, then that will be a good paycheck, like the 300 alone.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. It was very nice. You bet.
Okay. Then,
Yeah.
yeah, regarding, although I don't know if this will be applicable, we're going to the next section, which is we will talk about the due diligence. So
Yeah.
when you visit, I mean, when the wholesaler brings this deal to you, like anything that you like inspection wise, what you did, because you know at least that you're coming in that this is totally a distress. Any in particular inspection that you have done?
Well, here's an inspection that we did not do. We did not do a meth inspection. And most people don't in the country don't get that this is even an issue, which is the use of crystal methamphetamines inside of a unit. But in Utah, it is a big problem. And a lot of people, a lot of tenants consume this really, really toxic drug inside, and it contaminates the unit to the point that the walls need to be scrubbed. Everything needs to be scrubbed, and it needs to be done in such a way that it by a mitigation firm that certifies, and it gets certified by the state. So it didn't even occur to us to get a meth test. We do it on single family houses, but on apartment buildings, honestly, I've talked to everybody that I've talked to since is in the same impression that we are, which is that nobody tests apartment buildings for meth, because if you did, you would get all kinds of positive tests and positive results, and then you'd have a big problem on your hands. Well, sure enough, this buyer that we ended up selling the property to did a meth test, and it came back very positive on one unit only. It came back positive on 6 other units, but it was very low levels. On the one unit, it was very high level. And so we had to have the tenant move out. We had to have a professional team come in and mitigate it, and had the state certify it. And it cost a ton of time and a lot of money. So yeah, at the end of the day, that was the only thing that that we missed was this, and we just got very unlucky in that we had a buyer that I wouldn't even say was savvy enough, but was I guess anal. I hate to use that word, but like, it's just not something that you do in an apartment building transaction, especially when you're talking about class C minus. So anyway, that's like the inspection.
But that one happened like when you're selling it.
That's correct. So when we were buying it, we did. Here's the thing: when we were buying it, there was so much wrong with it that we knew everything was pretty obvious. That, we had plumbing issues, we had water issues, we had window issues, we had HVAC issues, and our business plan was to make everything new. So we knew that if we inspected it all, it was going to get fixed anyway. So we didn't have a professional inspection done. We had our GCs come over, our contractors, and give us bids on how much the work was going to cost to do.
Okay.
So that's kind of like an inspection, really.
Yep. I guess like, it will be a good, because I heard of this in the Utah. I know someone was flipping in the area. So they were also talking about that meth issue in one of their flips. So if you will be, for anyone who's trying to flip anything in Utah or even like apartments, so they just be cautious about that. I think this is, so far I know, like I heard this is really rampant in Utah. I haven't heard in any other state, but in Utah, I think this has been the case, right?
Yeah, it's the only state that I know of that this is a problem.
Yep.
And it's really strange because we live in a very religious state.
Yeah.
And the people in that religion are good people. And it's, I mean, not to generalize, but it's just very baffling to me why there is such a problem with such a gnarly drug. Like this is not This is not a recreational drug that anybody should do. Like it's, it's just terrible on your body and it's terrible on property. So, but the fact I have no explanation for why Utah has a problem with it and nobody else does. It's really strange.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think I'll skip the section that we have for capital raise because I think you already laid out the capital. So 150,000 from another investor that you paid 12% interest, then the rest are hard money. Then some out of pocket, I guess, like here and there. Then for the closing costs, I think I'll skip it. I think let's reaching to the final 5 sizzling questions, which is the end of this episode.
Sure.
So the first sizzling question is any lessons learned that you want to share from deal analysis, due diligence, inspection, I guess. Then financing.
In relation to this deal or in general?
Yeah, probably. I think in general. So based on all your experience.
Sure. I would say this: educate yourself to the hilt about investing in apartments. Listen to all the podcasts, all the YouTube videos, join the meetup groups. That's how Jefferson and I met, is through a meetup group. Join your local real estate investor association, and then listen to the audiobooks, right? Literally a PhD level education is available online right now in this particular field. You can educate yourself with such thorough knowledge on this industry that there's no excuses. So do that, and that will change your mindset. It'll shift your mindset around what's possible. And I'm here to tell you that if I can do it, you can do it. Like I'm lucky enough to have people in my corner, people that have mentored me and that I'm surrounded by, that have helped me along. And I'm here to help anybody along. And, we'll talk about how you can reach me, but I'm here to help. And so that's the big lesson I would say, is you want to hone your mindset into the fact that you can do as big a deal as you want. It's just as hard. And this is like, if you hear anything today, hear this, because I've done both. It's just as hard, if not harder, to do a 12 unit than it is 150 unit. Okay. And I can go into all the whys behind that, but it is like, trust me, it's easier. It's the equivalent amount of work. It's the same amount of time. You're still getting one loan. You're getting investors. You're doing a business plan. You're doing a pro forma. You're doing an offering memorandum. No matter how big the deal is, you're doing all that work all over again. So why not do something that's scaled up, so you're leveraging that work against 10x as many units as you otherwise could, right? That's my main message, is figure out how to shift your mindset into, you can do this. This is very doable. Yeah, it's competitive right now. Yeah, there's certain markets that are really, really competitive and hard to deal with and deal in, but there's really great opportunities too. So that's my message. I want you all to really believe what's possible here. And all I can say is, you heard my story. We went from flipping 2, 3, 4 houses a year at the most, and into now we're going to do probably 1,000 doors this year, ideally. So
nice. Yeah, and I think for the listeners too, there are a ton of resources out there, and it's free. Like, you don't need to pay upfront. Like
right.
So there's a lot of free podcasts and a YouTube channel, everyone. Then also the meetups. Like if you follow me or Tate, I'm for me to, like, if you friend me in Facebook, you will see, like, I think every Tuesday, Wednesday, definitely there's 2 meetups that I'm attending. So you can join those. Then
Mhm.
And also the YouTube channel. Then if you now, let's say you already educated yourself, then if you still deem to see like you want a mentor, then yeah, there's paid mentors out there that if you really want to, then. But yeah, I think it's about trying to educate, because you cannot just jump into a deal without knowing the side, because the brokers, everyone will not treat you that you know something if you don't know the lingo. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And a confused mind walks away or says no, whereas an informed mind will embrace opportunity. So if you inform yourself and educate yourself around how to do this, how to talk about it, how to get deals done, how to find deals, how to find investors, how to deal with property managers, all that stuff, it's not that hard, guys. Like, this is not rocket science at all. I'm not saying it's not hard work, because I work very hard and I'm 1,000% committed, and I put a lot of hours into this because I'm on a mission to set myself up with a portfolio and assets that are providing enough passive cash flow to allow for financial independence in my life. And I want to mention real quick, I'm actually about to release an ebook called FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early,
Wow, nice.
through apartment investing. So the FIRE movement is something that probably a lot of listeners have heard of. It's the financially independent retire early movement, and it involves obviously managing your expenses very well and saving and also investing very well. And what my book is about is how in apartment investing, you can accelerate that process so much and make it a 3 to 5 year proposition to get yourself into a place of having enough properties that are providing you with enough profit and cash flow to set you into this financially independent, retired early lifestyle. It's not that far away for you guys, like any of you, every single person listening and watching, this is attainable. And so anyway, my ebook is, it's not out yet. It's coinciding with a launch of our new website, which isn't out yet either, but will be in the next week or so. And so the best way to reach me, if you want to text ebook to 801-699-4532. Again, ebook to 801-699-4532. That's my personal cell phone. For that matter, you can text me anything there, and you can call me if you'd like. I am here to help and here to serve. I truly am. I believe that's how the world goes around, and how, I know that the more people I uplift and bring to financial independence, it just comes back in spades for me. It's not why I do it. I love the game. I love the hustle, and I love to teach, and I love to see other people succeed. So it's super exciting. I'm in such a different space than I was in 3 years ago, thanks to this apartment building investing space, this multifamily space. I've learned so much from so many amazing people. I do have my own podcast. It's called The Apartment Guys Podcast. I've had amazing guests on that. Some household names, if you will, for sure, on that podcast. And lots of people, like people that have $350 million portfolios. Was on my podcast 2 episodes ago. So yeah, that's kind of my jam, man. I love this thing, and I want to see other people. I want to see everybody succeed, and I want to partner up with people on deals and get stuff done.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So that's a good segue. At least once you have the ebook or your website, yeah, just let me know. Then I'll also put it in I'll update the show notes for this episode.
I can give it to you. I can give it to you now. It's just not live yet. So
okay, yeah. Then I'll include that in the show notes. Then going to so this ebook is a good segue for the next question. Is like, any recommended books?
Yes. So I think required listening here should be, if you haven't heard it already, go download the Audible version of a book by Lance Edwards called How to Make Big Money in Small Apartments.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, it is money. It's money, guys. Like, it seriously, it lays it the whole game out, how to do it, how not to do it, what to focus on, how to get your first deal, how to get your investors. Like, and he does a great job. I think it's chapter 11 is his chapter on mindset. I've listened to this book over and over again. It's kind of like My Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like, everybody's into that book. And I love that too, but this is my Bible. Like, I've learned so much from this, and it along with our 12-unit deal, that book in particular shifted everything for me around what I believe to be possible. Because Lance Edwards is this guy from Texas, South Texas, and he talks like this, and he talks about his real estate business, and he talks about buying lots of apartments, and I love him. And he's got a great sense of humor and tells a great story, and you got to hear him. You got to hear him tell it. So I really recommend the audiobook version of that. I've given it away to probably 30 people. I give it away every time I have a meetup group, which is once a month, the Salt Lake City Multifamily Meetup Group. I give it to one of our attendees. So yes, that book, guys, again, if there's one takeaway, go download the audio. First of all, if you don't have Audible, you should have Audible. There's so much on that. So many amazing books, but that's really a winner.
Yep. I was reading that one in Kindle. Yeah, I like that one. And also the good thing is, if people were afraid of taking the big apartments, because here he also discussed like how do you do it in small apartments, but his concept is also applicable in big apartments. The way he
Yes,
structured this book, it was I love reading it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, he even says, he's like, I wouldn't have put the small apartment thing in the title, except for if I had said how to make big money in big apartments, you guys wouldn't have bought it because you wouldn't have thought it was possible. So he's all about changing people's mindset around what's possible and what they can do in apartments, in apartment buildings. So he catered to us, and and he made it much more palatable, and it makes it like the whole thing much less daunting, let's say, than you might have it out to be. And like, this is, I guarantee you, no matter how hard or easy you think it is, it's easier than you think it is. I promise. It's not easy. But it's not as daunting as you think it is.
Yeah.
But you got to use your resources, right? You got to use Jefferson. You got to use me. You got to use the podcast and the Audible books and your local networks. Like, that's where it's at, guys. That's where deals get done.
Yeah. Reach out to us, like, if you have any questions, like, because we have been here, I think, attending meetups, and we educated ourselves too. So yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Then the third question is, any recommended podcast or YouTube channel that you're listening to, or
you bet. Yeah. There's so many. If I wasn't blessed enough to have the guests on that I've had on my podcast, I wouldn't even mention mine, because I think I'm a okay podcast host, but there's a lot of great podcast hosts out there. However, the guests that I've been able to get on my show have blown me away, and I'm very humbled by that. And so I do think that the Apartment Guys podcast is worth tuning into. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Rod Cleef has a great podcast. Adam Adams has a great podcast. Corey Peterson is one of my biggest mentors, and he has a killer podcast. And he's another guy that will make it easy to understand and to get your head around what's possible. Like, you can do this. Corey Peterson's the kind of guy that'll get you there. I know I'm forgetting some great podcasts that I listen to all the time. Brian Briscoe has a great podcast called Diary of an Apartment Investor. Monique Halm has a great podcast for female entrepreneurs and investors. Like I could go on and on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep, that's nice. Then, so the next question is, this is a time to promote yourself. What's your acquisition criteria for multifamily in
Okay.
terms of
So
location, units? Yeah.
yeah, look, if somebody brings me a deal that meets something like the following criteria, that's one of your best chances. If you have never done an apartment deal, one of your best chances to do an apartment deal is to find one and take it to somebody like me or Jefferson or Adam Adams or any of these good big operators, syndicators that get deals done, right? That's what you want to do. So here's the deal. We look for deals that are ideally at least 100 units, probably more like 150 units plus in progressive markets. And we specifically are looking in Oklahoma City right now. And we're looking in Columbus, Ohio right now. We're looking in markets around Columbus, Ohio, because we're such believers in Columbus. And San Antonio is another city. And then of course, Utah. We will do deals in Utah all the way down to probably 10 units. But Utah's crazy for bigger scale stuff. There's very little inventory and it's selling for industrial money rates, meaning that it's selling for sub 5% cap rates, meaning that it's very hard to compete in getting larger scale assets in Utah. So Oklahoma City, you can buy, a complex for $50,000, $55,000 a unit that will rent out for $600, $650, $700 a unit, right, per month. And that's a deal that's going to work. A deal like that will pencil, and especially if there's a value add component to it. And we know how to make that happen. So, go find deals, guys. Like the newer, the better, but like 1970 or newer, ideally. And something that maybe has had management issues. There's a lot of that out there, a lot of like high vacancy rates, poor CapEx, like poorly funded. Just, poor management, great opportunities. And we'll look at other markets too. So, and I know people that work very hard in other markets. So if you bring us a deal that we aren't interested in because of whatever reason, we'll certainly do whatever we can to help you and point you in the right direction. The only other thing that I'd just mention again is only because, it's changed my life, and I say it with a humble heart, but please tune into the podcast. Like it's the best thing I can say. I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse of everything important for you guys and bring it to you every week. So I put my heart and soul into it. It means everything to me. And so that's, if given the opportunity to self-promote, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's good. Like, because I think the one thing that I think that the listeners that need to know is the more value that you bring to the table, even let's say not only within your group or partners, because you never know, like you're sharing this, you're giving value to everyone, especially if you have this social media, you have a podcast, or I have this YouTube channel. The more value you give to others, it will return you thousandfolds. And you never know too, like whoever listen to it, then, oh yeah, I have a deal. Will you be interested? Because I listened to your podcast. I just knew you from podcast or this YouTube channel. Then you never know, right? So
Yep.
yeah, give value to others. Yep.
We work with investors, with passive investors, and getting them started in this business. That's a whole topic of conversation that we didn't get into today. But there's massive opportunity in this industry for people with retirement accounts or funds or stock market capital that they are interested in diversifying. There's very easy ways of getting involved in apartment ownership that don't involve anything other than investing. So yeah, just mention that.
Yeah, and also the good thing, at least when you're investing in real estate, like it is real money that, let's say, if you receive it, then yeah, it's yours. Unlike like you're in stocks, it's paper, right?
That's right.
So it can, yeah, you're a gain, like I mean, 1,000 folds gain right now, but you never know if it crashes, then you're also 1,000 lost. You know, so you never know. But anyway, so I guess for everyone too, like if you are entering, because Tate mentioned his criteria. So if you're local to the area, even not for only for Tate, for anyone who will be the I guess in this channel, if you wanted to start the business like multifamily, so what you can do to give value is like driving for dollars. I think that's the basic. I know, like even on the single family space, this is really helpful. So if you're local to the area, you're driving around, you see some apartments that looks distressed, like there's a lot of trash. Management is very, I mean, there's a poor management. So those are really good candidates that
Yep.
you can bring to the table. Then you can bring it to Tate or anyone else. Then you can eventually like learn from them. It can be like a bird dog fee, or it could be a wholesale fee if you were able to do
Yep.
it as a wholesale contract. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's
Some
another avenue to start. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great way to start. Driving for dollars is brilliant. And I'm going to drop a bomb here for you guys, right? Here, this is something like seriously write this down or make a etching in your brain.
Mhm.
When you see a handwritten Home Depot for rent sign, that is that's an owner operator that doesn't know what they're doing, and they don't care enough about what they're doing to invest in good marketing. So anytime you see depending on how big it is, right? But and how big you want it to be. But when you see those cheap for rent signs, that's probably the sign of a distressed property, because they're not spending money on other things too. We found a 44 unit property that way through a for rent sign. Like somebody had gone to Home Depot with a Sharpie, put their phone number on it. We called it and we put it under contract. We didn't end up closing on it for some other reasons, but it was a good deal and we found it driving for dollars. So yeah, that's a good one. Another one is, after it snows, look what parking lots have not been plowed, right? Because that's somebody else that's not taking care of the property. Landscaping, yard care, like grass in the spring. It's awesome when the grass starts growing fast, because you can go out and find properties with really tall grass and know that they're not being taken care of. When you see aluminum windows, broken windows, that's another distress sign. So anyway, I can go on, but hopefully somebody's going to hear something in there and go find a deal and make money. And if you guys do, please, all I ask is just tell me about it. I want to know that I want to know that you were successful. That's all I care about. And that's all that I need out of it.
Yeah. That's really like a gold bomb. That handwritten for rent
Yeah.
for rent sign. I didn't
Yep.
thought of that. Yeah, that's really good. So see, so for the all the listeners, you will hear like all this gold nugget from time to time. And then even like me, like I'm also learning from all these people in the like guests that I have. So this is
It's
a
so
good
humbling.
segue for the last question is, so if they found any deal, so what's the best way to contact you, Tate?
Yeah. So I gave out my cell phone earlier and I'll do that again, right? Because right now our website's in transition. Normally I'd give out my website, but your listeners are lucky enough to just get direct access to me. It's 801-699-4532. That's my cell phone number. Our website is glequitygroup.com. So G as in George, L as in light. So glequitygroup.com is our website address. That will be live again and within a week, and there will be a free download of the Fire book. I don't know that book's always going to be free, but for right now, it is, and I think that it will be hopefully very inspiring to you. So yeah.
Yep. Nice. So I love you having here, Tate. Then yeah, thank you for being guest in the show.
Oh man, this was awesome, Jefferson. Thank you so much. It's very humbling to have been invited, and I really enjoyed it. You're a sharp guy, and I enjoyed talking to you. Wish you all
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Tate.
Thank you so much, Jefferson.